Highness. They await you. Come, Your Highness.
How are you this evening?
Hey,
Happy Wednesday. How are you, Doc?
All right,
How you doing?
Good evening. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome. Yes,
No
you're going to be
problem.
on here tonight with Nene Capri. I'm Nene Capri. We also have Aaron Bebo. We have Miss Tony, and we have Miss Leisha, who's been handling you so greatly up into this. Definitely honored to have you out here this evening. Tonight we're talking about deep holes and deep graves. It's a lot of holes in our community, in the hearts of the parents and the hearts of the children, a disconnect between education, language, culture. Within the communities, I know that they said you're from Philly. I spent 5 years living in Philly and saw a lot of generational poverty and illiteracy. Just speak to us a little bit about how you feel about the holes that's in our communities right now, what our children are going through.
Well, the major systems in any community that need to function in order for it to be healthy and to be progressive and productive, you got to have an economic system. You have to have an educational system. You have to have a healthy family system. You also have to have a community system, which includes law and order. And you need all four of those things. If the schools do not work, then you automatically lay the groundwork for crime and poverty. If you don't have an economic system, you reinforce the potential for crime and poverty. And so I often refer to miseducation as the mother of all crime and economic castration as the father of all crime. And what I find ironic whenever we see mainstream conversations about black-on-black homicide, violence, and crime, they never draw the connection between crime in the black community to the economic and the educational failures in the black community. Half of the black men in our country have been unemployed since 1970. The schools have been dysfunctional since 1970. And all of this, by the way, was deliberate. It was a way of weakening the black community so it could not economically support any future black power uprisings. At the conclusion of the campaign by the FBI and CIA to assassinate Dr. King, they decided on a program of black community marginalization and depolarization to ensure that the black community could never again sustain an independent movement of mass revolt and mass protest against the government. That's where crack came from. That's where special ed came from. That's where ADHD came from. That's why they stripped all of the inner city high schools of most black neighborhoods of their industrial building programs. Up until 1970, you could go to high school and become a plumber in high school, get your state license before you graduate.
Absolutely.
A carpenter, auto body repair, HVAC. I mean, there was over 24 trades that you could have been licensed by the state within prior to graduation. They took all that out, start sending all the kids to college, which they knew was nothing but a setup, because getting a college education doesn't guarantee you anything except a life full of debt to the banks of America by way of student loans. So all of this was engineered. The situation that we in, it is by design. We play a role in it. And our responsibility in this is we haven't been doing anything about it. We know where the problem comes from. We didn't create the problem. And it's clear. We got to be clear in saying that, because a lot of black people will erroneously and ridiculously utter statements such as we're responsible for the condition we're in. No, we're not. We don't control the schools. We don't control the jails. We don't control the legal system. We don't control the economic order. None of the major machines that are being used to oppress and marginalize black life are controlled by black people. None of them. So we did not create it. But the problem is we condone it, we consent to it, and we don't do anything to reverse it. And that is our responsibility.
Absolutely. With you speaking on the educational system and different things of that nature, I would like to just bring quickly to the attention of our listeners the organization that was in Philadelphia, the MOVE, and how they were able to come in and literally, white move out. what was their mission and goal, the move? If you could explain what it meant to Philly and what it was trying to do and why it was so important to take them out in the way that they took them out.
Well, the one thing about the move situation, and it's interesting you bring this up, and I can't speak thoroughly, or should I say I don't want to speak thoroughly on the ideology since I wasn't a member. However, I am good friends with Pan Africa, who was and is a member of the MOVE family, and I was with her last night in South Philadelphia. But nonetheless, the MOVE was an independent group. It was a black family. It was a back to nature movement, if you would, where everything was based on harmony, living within accord with nature. And they lived in a neighborhood in West Philadelphia with some of the black folks. One thing that needs to be kept in mind when we talk about the MOVE situation, that black people, they actually, to some degree, were the motive behind that whole situation, because it was the black homeowners in that section of West Philadelphia who kept complaining to the city government about their MOVE members. And so the city used the complaints by black folk as a justification to go in there and murder. And that situation that took place with MOVE in the 1980s was the first time an American city in history bombed its own citizens.
Yes, that was heavy. I mean, because they hit houses that I mean, it spread. I mean, it spread it through way past that house. Children, men, women were all murdered, in those fires when they set those off. And I think that happens a lot in our communities. Like you said, things will be closed down. Like, we don't have the trades in the schools anymore. Like, when we were in high school, you could take up a parenting class and be able to work, with children. You could do cooking. You could do sewing. It was all the trades. It was, metal shop, leather. You went from one class to the next within the schoolhouse, like you said, and got those trades. Now, when, again, I have to keep reverting back to Philadelphia because this is my first real experience with the school system with having a small child. They have prisons now at the bottom of some of the schoolhouses in Philadelphia, so that if you get expelled, you'll go downstairs to the jail, to the holding cell and situation. And I see them even handcuffing kindergartners, suspending them and handcuffing them. And from 5 and 6 years old, you're learning that this is like your path. Like this is what school is about. This is what education is about. And it's so political. You can't even get your child in a good school in the Philadelphia area unless you are politically connected, which again cuts off from all resources of education. How do you feel about that, Doctor?
Well, one thing that we got to recognize is black people have the laws. We don't need laws. We need organized power. One of the reasons why we have cops in jail goes back to Columbine, which I believe took place in the 90s. So this was a white high school massacre that was used as the catalyst to mass incarcerate and juvenile incarcerate an entire generation of black boys. The Columbine crisis is what gave birth to police in schools. Now, this was a massacre where white boys went into the high school and killed their own schoolmates. We've never had a situation yet where black students came into a high school and shot up innocent children. You see, now we have had guns in schools. There were a few shootings in schools, but we never had a mass murder campaign by black children in a black school like we saw in Columbine. However, when they passed the zero tolerance laws, Columbine gave birth to the zero tolerance law that every state in America basically adheres to, which says that if you enact serious bodily harm against another student, or if you are caught with drugs, or if you are caught with weapons, you will automatically be expelled from school, whether you're special ed or not. Now, that makes sense on the surface, but then you have to look beneath the surface and look at what is the definition of what they're considering to be serious bodily harm. And what they're doing is that the threshold is so low that black kids are being expelled from school simply for making a verbal threat to punch somebody. They're being expelled from school simply by giving their teacher an evil look, or if the teacher stands in their way, if they push the teacher out of the way to get out the classroom so they can go and get a breath of fresh air, they can be expelled for that. They own the teacher. All he did was bump the teacher, but they called it an assault. And then when you look at weapons, I'm seeing children who are being expelled from school for such things as a Boy Scout, a pocket knife, or a pair of regular school scissors. Now, when I went to school, having a pair of scissors okay, was on the list of required items that you brought with you. You needed scissors. Now if you come to school with scissors, they'll call it a weapon. I've seen them call pens weapons, pencils weapons, especially if you hold it in your hand and give the appearance that you're about to use it. And what people need to understand, it's not the actual committal of the offense. If they feel that you had the intention, just the intention of doing physically bodily harm, the intention that you were going to use that ink pen as a weapon can get you expelled from school. So we got to stop celebrating laws that we think benefit black folks, because they don't. Even when we look at hate crimes law, most people being prosecuted for hate crimes law are black folks. White people are rarely being prosecuted for hate crimes law, and the hate crimes law was allegedly created to protect black people from overt racial white supremacy, but instead it's being used more to protect white folk. I'm seeing black kids who are being charged with federal hate crimes law for beating up white kids. Even if they had nothing to do with race, they will invoke the hate crimes law against a black kid, but not a white kid. The Civil Rights Bill, another situation where our ancestors went out to get rights, but because they fought in a multicultural fashion and they were representing all 9 white people in the United States, a problem that we still have to this day with this all lives matter crap. As a result of that, when the Civil Rights Bill got passed, every other non-white group in America gained from it except black people. And we still have a problem of being unapologetically African. We still have an issue with being unapologetically black. Whenever we stand up to do anything, whether it's for our children, for our mothers, our fathers, our elders, our community, we can never just say we're speaking for the black community. Every time a black person speaks, they got to speak for everybody as well as us. And that's why we don't get anywhere. Because as long as you're going to look out for everybody and nobody else is looking out for you, you're going to be dead last. Latinos ain't looking out for black folk. Latinos looking out for Latinos. Chinese looking out for Chinese. The white man looking out for white folks. And every time a black person speaks, they want to look out for everybody.
Absolutely. That's powerful. That was very, very educational. We appreciate you sharing that. We are glad that we're having this Real Raw conversation. For those who are just tuning in, this is Real Raw Radio. I am Nene Capri. We are talking with Dr. Umar. He is sharing some real history with us and trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with our youth here tonight. If you would like to speak with him, 347-826-7011. We will be taking calls. Pressure number 1 so that we can know that you're in the queue and you would like to weigh in. I'm going to turn it over to Uncle Aaron. He's going to go from here. Aaron Bebo, please entertain the good doctor for us.
How you doing, Dr. Umar?
Peace, my brother.
Peace. Yeah, I definitely agree with a great majority of the things that you were saying, like as far, especially with the schools and all these alphabets and all that. Like all that, I feel like that's by design as well. You know, like DYS, like you saying, the dysfunction of the DYS is right there in the lettering. Like the Division for Youth Services is the first 3 letters, and dysfunction. So you already see the establishment coming and a work in play for them to be, judging us and cornering us. But I think it's education too. Like not education in the schools. I think we gotta be educating our youth in the home and our adults too. Like it's a lot of adults out there that need to be re-educated and reprogrammed.
Well, here's the thing with the education, and you're absolutely right, but the education got to be education by black people. It can't be the education that is given out to our children now, which is simply an education for incarceration. Public education was founded to make sure that Americans had a basic education so that their labor could be properly exploited by American capitalism. So public school was not created to send you to college. Public school was not created so you can become a doctor, a lawyer, open your own business. Public education was created so you can fill out a job application, so you could read your paycheck, okay, and so you could pay your bills appropriately. That's why public education was created. And because it was driven by capitalism, and because it was driven by a need for labor during the Industrial Revolution, we no longer have that need. America no longer needs blue-collar laborers, especially not black ones. See, we were brought here to serve. We were brought here to serve, to work. Our labor is no longer needed, and this is something that nobody is addressing. Our labor is not needed. That's why we're being sent to jail like this. That's why the police are killing us like this. That's why they're pushing abortion like the way that they're pushing it, because black men and women are no longer relevant to the American economic order. They have over 4 million illegal, undocumented, illegal immigrants who are willing to do the work for less than minimum wage under the table without benefits. That's why the illegal immigrants are allowed to stay in America. They're not letting them go. They're going to keep them here because they are here to replace you. America decided in 1865, at the end of the Civil War, that there would be a 0% rise in the black population rate of the American population. We are no more than 20% of the American population today. Now, there's more of us now than when slavery ended. We were between 2 and 4 million. Now we're 40 million, but our percentage of the country has actually declined. Your numbers have increased, but your percentage has declined. In other words, the rate in which the white population, the Latino population, the Chinese population, the East Indian, and the Arab, and the Native American population is growing, they are growing at 4 and 5 times the rate as black people. And it's not because our women are not getting pregnant. It's because our women have the highest infant mortality rate in the developing world. We have the highest abortion rate in America. We have the highest incarceration rate. So all of these strategies are being done to eliminate black people. This is the elimination game. Slavery was about control. Now we're dealing with extermination. And if we don't come up with a program to save ourselves, I can see 100 years from now, we might not survive. We may not make it into the 22nd century if we don't do anything about our problems in the 21st century.
Wow, that's powerful.
Wow.
We have a caller, Uncle Aaron. We'll take the caller right quick, and then we'll let you go right back to your next portion of the interview. Go ahead, Leisha.
Okay, what's that? 213-458. You are live in the clubhouse. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is your favorite, Peter Mack from California.
Hey,
How y'all
Peter.
doing?
Hey, Peter.
How y'all doing, Nina, Nene, Aaron, Leisha, Miss Tony, Dr. Umar? You're a true scholar, man. I appreciate you, especially being able to put all the facts together and present them in a cohesive manner so that people can see the big picture. My dad was a Panther. I come up, in an educational family, and I didn't really recognize the plight of the public school system until I started teaching at Marcus Garvey Elementary in the mid-'90s. I taught at Marcus Garvey in Los Angeles on Slauson for about 2 years. And just the opening pledge was, we are black, we are proud, we are strong. It was meant to convey a sense of priority and boldness and confidence in my second grade class. And to see them go, to see them transform into young human beings was probably the most rewarding experience of my life. Now, I didn't call to say that. I called to get your opinion on this. I remember watching the news program of the Ferguson movement, and to see on the television the white militia that came out, it kind of put in America's face this whole subculture of white men with guns. Speak to that if you can for me to help clarify that whole dynamic of how they were able to walk the streets fully armored, fully vested. And my thinking is that if there was a Black Panther Party and they would have been arrested or shot, and you take that kind of imagery and you place it against black males being gunned down across the country simply for even looking like they might have a weapon or appear that they may be approaching in a threatening manner. Can you speak to that for us?
Certainly. Well, first off, one of the reasons why the United States Constitution guarantees people the right to bear arms, there's 3 reasons for that. One of the reasons why they gave people the right to bear arms in America is, number one, they wanted to make sure that the citizenry was prepared to help the government defend itself in the event of a foreign invasion. That was one reason that gave rise to the right to bear arms. The second reason that gave rise to the right to bear arms is that America was originally populated with crooks and villains and criminals. The people who originally came to this country and settled it were criminals. They opened up the jails in Europe and sent them all over here. The same thing Castro did in Cuba is what the British did. Okay, so because America had a long history, early history of lawlessness, they felt that people could best protect themselves by being armed because there really was no serious and established police force in America at the time. You don't really get a serious establish police force until freedom, Reconstruction. So because the police were created to police black people. And the third reason that people have a right to bear arms is to make sure in the event of a black rebellion that white people can be deputized and marshaled into killing black people. That's why they did it in Katrina. They did it in Ferguson. See, the laws of America allows the governor of every state and the president of the country to deputize anybody they want. They do not have to be trained officers of the law. You can simply go into a neighborhood and deputize as many white men and women as you want to go into Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Houston, L.A., and kill off the black folk. We have to recognize that. And the reason why the martial law executive orders that President Obama has been signing so many of are so critical is because they actually are setting up a situation where martial law will come, maybe not to the whole country, but definitely to the black community, where white folks will be deputized to come in and kill black people. That's exactly why white people are buying up all the guns and all the ammunition from many of the artillery stores around this country. This is why they're up in the woods of Michigan, in the woods of California, in the woods of Pennsylvania, practicing and teaching their children how to shoot, because they are crossing their fingers and hoping and praying that they get the green light from the government to kill black people. Right. And it's going to come because we've already had it.
You know what?
We've had it.
Yes,
in
and you see when we had the
we had it in Wilmington, we had it in Charleston. We've had it before, and you're going to get it again. Whatever has happened will happen again.
Yes, it will. And the pool party. The thing with the pool party was you had the cop, jumping on the young black girl was a perfect example of that, because when I was watching it, the thing that had troubled me was you have this big cop. He's on top of this young 14-year-old girl. Then I saw the big, white guy standing next to him from the community, not a cop or anything, not being told, sir, just back up, let me take care of this. He was there like, yeah, I wish somebody would, and kind of like protecting the cop. And I'm not saying that they should not be protected, but it was a lot going on, and nobody was taking any concern, for the children who were on the ground with guns at them. It was, y'all better do exactly what he said, and that's what I had saw. So that kind of definitely justifies the statement that you were just mentioning. Peter, do you want to say another thing to that before we let you go? And I thank you for calling always and shedding good light. I appreciate you. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, just listening to you, Dr. Umar, just reminds me, my Bible is Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's The ISIS Papers. She sacrificed a 20-year marriage to put that book out. And, the things that she was saying back then, as far as religion, as far as how this country was formed, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about why gun control is not being passed, or why the Republicans or white America is so reluctant to do something about it in light of all the school shootings. And, I explained exactly what you said, was that this country was built on the gun, even more so than any other Western industrialized country. So it would be impossible to hide the gun and move on because it was built on the gun. But we appreciate you coming through, man. I appreciate you putting all those facts together and giving us a vivid picture to reflect on.
Thank you, my brother. And I will be speaking at the Black Consciousness Conference at California State University, Long Beach campus, Black Consciousness Conference.
How do they get in contact with you, Doctor, if they do want to have you at an event or to speak at a school or mentor any children or anything? How do they get in contact with you?
Through the website, drumarjohnson.com, drumarjohnson.com. They can also email me directly, Dr. Umar Johnson at Yahoo, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. They can follow me at Dr. Umar Johnson. But I would like to ask that if you're trying to reach me, email me. I don't check my Instagram messages on a regular, nor do I check my Twitter or Facebook messages on a regular, but I check my email all the time. So although I check those accounts, I don't check the messages as often as I check my email. So if it's a serious communication, it needs to come by way of email and not a social network inbox.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We thank you for sharing that so they can get to you. As we speak again about these holes in our society, the gap and things that's between our youth and the elders in our community, how do you see bridging that gap? And when you get done, Uncle Aaron, I want you to chime in because, again, you're another black man in our community. How do you see us bridging that gap between the youth? We've had them come on here and speak. You know, Aaron's giving them some knowledge, and they're like, oh, man, y'all old, or that don't work no more, or y'all don't understand us. You don't know what we're asking for. Please speak to us for the youth, the young men and women.
Well, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the father of black history and one of the greatest scholars we ever had, he said that the greatest weapon in the mind of the greatest weapon in the hand of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So with that in mind, I would say that the greatest challenge we have towards doing what we need to do to fight back is black leadership. The number one accomplice to this crime is black leadership. The best thing white racism has going for it is black leadership. And the second best thing that white racism has going for it is the general indifference and apathy that black people have towards their own condition. We got to recognize something. Slavery was a process of dehumanization. Slavery wasn't just about chains and whips. It was a psychological process of dehumanization. It was a process that made you feel that your feelings, your thoughts, your treatment does not matter. Slavery, our entire life was based on the best interest of the master. Our life was, we were never allowed to care about ourselves. And although we are 150 years removed from the peculiar institution, we still are not concerned about ourselves. 30 years ago, if a black male was murdered by a black male, it would be on the front page of the Daily News. You would read it, the whole community would be up in arms, there would be marches, protests, candlelight vigils, the whole nine. Now when a black man gets killed by a black man, it's in the middle of the newspaper right before the lottery. You look at it and you keep on going. We are totally apathetic to our own assassination and annihilation. The only time we care about a homicide is if the person is related to us. When everybody else's sons get killed, we don't care. We keep going. It is irrelevant. When our son get killed, we want the whole world to worry about it because we don't care about black life. Black lives don't matter to black people. They do not matter. Our kids don't matter. If they did, they would have better schools. Keep in mind, despite our condition, black people gross $1 trillion gross national product. That's how much we earn in this country. We're the 10th richest group of people in the world and the richest black people in the world, period. And we're only 40 million strong, and we gross more than 250 million Nigerians, which is one of the wealthiest countries in Africa. So with that type of buying power and earning power, why don't our kids have schools? Why we don't have hospitals? Why we don't have distribution networks? Why we don't have gas stations? Where are our factories? You know why? Because black folk have been taught not to worry about black folk. We don't care about our destiny. We don't care about our children's lives. Most of us live for ourselves. We are selfish as hell, and we're only concerned about me, myself, and my family. We don't think about the next generation. When you look at white folk, they plan 10 generations down the line. The Jewish American is worrying about his great-great-great-great-grandson's life. And the only thing the black person is worrying about is their life.
I say this all the time. I say that all the time. People don't get it. We don't
live for our descendants. How many of us actually wake up saying, I'm doing this for my great-great-grandchildren who will never meet? I would just be a picture on their wall. But one day, 200 years from now, they'll be able to point and say, I am where I am because of that man. As we do this interview right now, I'm looking at my family tree on the wall. There's a picture of Frederick Douglass at the top, my grandfather Stephen, which was his brother and cousin because their mothers were sisters, brothers because the slave master raped both of their moms, and that's how they became brothers. And then next to him is Grandpop George, there's Grandmom Caroline, there's Frederick Douglass' son Lewis and Charles, both of whom fought in the Civil War. I will never meet none of them face to face. I only know them through the biographies of the family and the pictures on my wall. But because of them, I have my 6 degrees. Because of them, I'm where I'm at. They sacrificed 200 years ago so I could be in the position that I'm in right now. How many of us living today are trying to leave that same legacy for our great 200 years from now?
Not many.
Enough.
And then the people that speak in the tones that you speak in are they can't penetrate the power of the black people because the like you said, we get the majority of the money, but it goes to foolishness. because when you start talking with sense, nobody don't want to hear that.
And not only that, most of our scholars have lost their street credibility. See, when people talk about the crisis of the Negro intellectual, and there's two books that everybody need to read about the Negro intellectual, and that is The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual by Harold Cruz and Black Bourgeoisie by E. Franklin Frazier, and also Black Anglo-Saxon by Nathan and Julia here, fellow psychologists. Okay, they talk about how we thought W.E.B. Du Bois, when he came up with the talented tenth, and I just visited his grave in Ghana a couple months ago, when he talked about the talented tenth, he thought that the college-educated black would be most able to help black people. He thought that we should be led by our college-educated blacks. What Du Bois, he was only looking at the education, though. He wasn't looking at the commitment or the compassion. The average college-educated Negro with a master's or doctorate degree don't have any concern, any commitment, or any compassion for black folks in the hood. They have no agenda for the black underclass. When they get their master's and their doctorate, they escape from the ghetto to the suburbs, and they turn their back on their former neighborhood, and then they start blaming black people for the condition that they in, saying ridiculously false statements such as, I made it, you can make it too. That is a damn lie. Just because Umar Johnson made it doesn't mean all the other brothers in the hood are going to make it, because white supremacy dictates that black people never become more successful than white folks. So the system is designed. Johnson made it because Umar Johnson was selected to make it. My father was in the Marine Corps. They thought I would be a safe Negro. They had no idea that I wouldn't be. So I was allowed to make it. These Negroes, you see, Cornell was allowed. Tavis was allowed. Obama was allowed. They're not going to let everybody become Obama. Every black woman can become an Oprah Winfrey. That is a lie. They let some of us sneak through so they can use us as an excuse to say we're not racist. Anybody can make it in America. Look at Jay-Z. Look at Oprah. Look at this one. Look at that one. But how many Jay-Z's do we have? One. How many Oprahs do we have? One. How many multi-millionaire white men we got? Millions. How many white men owning businesses? Millions. So you point to one black successful person and you try to use that as an excuse that racism does not exist. Give me a break.
I think also, too, just speaking within the black people and black culture, like, honestly, I think, like you said, the leadership is all wrong. The people that have a voice that are portrayed as the voice of black people are all wrong. And also just black people as a whole haven't organized enough to even say what their agenda is. I don't feel like we have an agenda as a voice to say that, yo, this is our agenda. This is what we want. This is our objective. This is what we want. These are our demands, and this is what we're ready to do to get it. I don't feel like there's no agenda in place, and most importantly, I don't feel like black people is ready for the black man or woman in America is ready for revolution, because in revolution, the first thing you got to do is kill some of your friends and family. Like whoever ain't with the objective or the agenda, they have to go. And people ain't ready for that.
Well, I'm going to give you something else to add to that. Number one, we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Every black person wants to be the leader. And the reason every black person wants to be the leader is because black people do not respect black authority. We have no tolerance for being responsible to another black person. Now, white people can order us around all day long. Chinese people can order us around all day long. European Jews, your boss on a job can disrespect you, treat you like dirt, and you'll never give them no pushback. But when you get a black supervisor, a black boss, we treat them like hell. And so because we're not interested in taking orders from other black people and being accountable to other black people, it's difficult to lead a movement when you don't respect the people you're struggling with. The average black person is not interested in answering to another black person. How many of you have been bosses on your job where you are responsible for black people? Look how they treat you. Black people can't stand each other. So the worst thing you can do for a black person is put a black person in charge. They will find something wrong with your leadership. They will criticize you. They will undermine you. Anything to get rid of you, because we have that disease. We got that Willie Lynch chip in our heart and in our brain
We suffer from that post-traumatic slavery disease. This is the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the self-hate. And if you don't deal with the self-hate, nothing is going to get done. That's why we have more traitors in our community than any other community. It should not be so easy for the FBI and the CIA to infiltrate every black organization. It's easy, though, because black people don't believe they can fix their problems. They don't believe that they're worth anything. So whenever you have low self-esteem, low commitment to each other, the ground is always right for someone to come in and pay somebody to turn against you.
You know what it is? I feel like this. I believe everything you're saying, especially as far as the mental conditioning of the black person, the black man and woman in America. Like the reasoning behind. I mean, who's gonna want to be looking at another black person as a boss when they really looking to the white man? They really looking past the black person as the boss to the white man. Like you just another nigga like me.
Exactly.
You a slave just like me. What are you talking about? Where the real boss at?
What did Tupac say in Juice? He said, "I ain't shit, and you ain't shit."
Yeah, they looking
less of a man than me. So the minute I decide that you ain't shit, you gone. You see, and that's how we look at each other. We are all reflections of ourselves. The entire black community is one body. We're actually one body joined by ether that's separate. We're one person, literally. So whenever you hate on another black person, you're hating on yourself because they are you and you are they. But because of this out-of-control ego that many of us function through, we can't see that tearing down my brother is tearing down myself because the white man, the victory of slavery was that it made us a community of individuals. Each of us is a community into ourselves. I am Umar Johnson. That is it. I don't represent you. I don't represent the black man next door. I don't even represent my brother. I am me. Don't call me part of the black community. Don't call me that. I am an individual. And that's why black people love to tell you, I'm an individual. I don't represent nobody but myself because we hate being black. You don't hear white people talking like that. The Italians will tell you, I'm Italian, and here's my flag. The Jew will tell you, I'm Jewish, and here's the flag of Israel. Everybody functions as a group. And in African culture, most cultures, the basic level of existence is the family. In most cultures, there's no concept, African culture, there's no concept of an individual separate from his family. That's where the concept of the last name. That's why we all have a last name. The reason why all of us will have the same last name is that lets you know we are part of the same family. It is family first, but we have lost that, and we have become a nation of individuals.
Wow.
Divide and conquer,
that's powerful.
Separate and rule. Divide and conquer, separate and rule. And then you got religion entering the equation, which intensifies the hate, because now you give the self-hating black man a new identity. So I'm no longer black. I'm Christian. I'm Muslim. I'm Hebrew. I'm Moor. I'm Nawapian. I'm this. I'm that. And then we use these religious ideologies in a narcissistic way to beat each other over the head with them. In other words, I should be the leader because I am a Hebrew. And since Hebrews are the original people, we should be in charge. No, I'm the leader because I'm from the Nation of Islam and we come from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so we should be in control. No. I am a this. I am a that. I am a Christian. I am a Moor. So we use these ideologies to say, I'm better than the rest of you niggas because I belong to this particular group. You see, and that's what's going on in the conscious community, because black people think because I belong to a certain school of thought, that makes me better than you because I call myself by another name. Most of us are motivated to escape our Africanity as much as I can. My thing is, I respect everybody's ideology. If you Nation of Islam, I'm going to respect your history. You gods and earths, I'm going to respect that. You are Moor, I'm going to respect that. Okay? Whatever you are, Nawapian, Hebrew, I'm going to respect that. But don't you ever think you better than me because I don't belong to that school of thought, because none of you have solved the problems of black people. None of you have. As far as I'm concerned, we're all in the same boat. Put the ideology down. Stop focusing on what we believe. Stop focusing on how we pray. Stop focusing on where we live and focus on where we came from.
Yeah,
this is Real Raw Radio. This is Dr. Umar. You got Nene Capri, Aaron Bebo, Miss Tony, and you have Miss Leisha. Let me ask you a question real quick. We had a gentleman on the show, Aaron Bebo, and a gentleman friend of his who do video. They were talking about the black woman, and the guy was talking about all black women are angry. He has a black
and
daughter.
They should
he has
be
a little
angry
girl.
because they're the only women in the country whose men are not in a position to protect and provide. The black woman has a right to be angry. The black man has a right to be angry because he's the only man in the country whose woman does not have to consult with him before she makes a decision about his children. That doesn't happen for no other people. The black woman is the only woman in the country who has more education and more income than her man. She's also the woman in the country who's less likely to get married. So the black man and the black woman have a lot to be angry about when it comes to the black family. But the problem is we direct that anger at each other as opposed to the source of the imbalances in our community, which is structural white racism in the power system. The black woman doesn't have to be the enemy of the black man, and the black man doesn't have to be the enemy of the black woman. The black man cannot blame her for the fact she got more education and she make more money. She's simply the benefit of a design that was put in place to disempower him. Blame her. Understand the system that created the imbalance. And the black woman is the same way. She got to stop saying black men are irresponsible. They don't want to commit to us. The reason why black men are not marrying black women is because before I marry a woman, I want to make sure I can provide for that woman. What man wants to get married when he's broke as hell? What man wants to get married when he can't find a job? A man wants to be able to say, I am a man and I can take care of my household. Most men of any culture is going to have a problem marrying a woman when she's going to wear the economic pants in the relationship.
And a lot of women don't understand that because they're so caught up on American tradition. There's another thing I always speak about. Like, they're so caught up on American tradition that's where a lot of the tearing a brother down comes from, as far as, saying brothers are irresponsible. Brothers don't want to commit because they don't. What I think it is nobody's understanding no one's plight. No one's everybody's being a narcissist.
Exactly. It's all about me. That's why the relationships don't work, because we come to a relationship with one agenda, to fulfill our own ambition. That's all. That's why the marriages don't last more than 5 years in most cases. I didn't marry her because I give a damn about helping her on her life path. I married her so she can help me on my life path. Most of the time when we get married, it's all about us. When I talk to folks, why did you get married? Because I felt he can make me happy. Well, did you know that part of this marriage was you trying to help him fulfill his agenda? You don't even know what his agenda is. It's about self. And the thing is, when you get married, that is two people becoming a unit. So you shouldn't even be thinking about getting married. You shouldn't even be thinking about getting into a relationship unless you are willing to forego some of your individual plan for the greater good of the relationship. But we're so damn selfish that we don't care about each other. That's why the day after the marriage is over, we trying to destroy everything he built, everything she built. We stealing from each other, trying to turn the kids against each other, talking about we used to be in love. Y'all wasn't in love. Y'all was in love.
Calling your best friend.
Contract.
Calling your best friend instead of calling your husband.
Contract.
We need to do this. Go ahead and let our caller in. We're going to take another call, Doctor. Go ahead, Leisha.
817-320. You're live in the clubhouse. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Danya from the Doc. Hi, Mimi. Hi, Aaron. How are you guys doing?
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
The doctor
you're going to be down
out in Dallas.
Yes, Dallas, Fort Worth. Yes. You're going to be down here in October. But
yes.
To Dr. Umar Johnson, who we just love down here in Dallas, Fort Worth, everything you said is powerful, so powerful. I don't even know where to begin because, the ego thing is so serious, cannot even transcend all those egos to get down to the root of the problem. And, being in the bookstore, I'm like you, I respect everybody. We have the 5%ers, the Nation of Islam. We got this sorority, that fraternity, this spiritual group, that spiritual group. And everybody you have to almost take separately to see to give them the big problem. I don't think we can transform those egos, and we are at a state that we have to deal with them separately and have one body that says, hey, we're going to coordinate, we're going to work on the issue. We're going to distribute what the agenda should be and have some independent body buy into that, because it's almost so separated. But like Dr. Claude Anderson said, we can't wait. Like you're saying, we can't afford to continue to wait. What are we going to look like in the 23rd century? Where are we going to be? And then we get bamboozled by all these movements. We got, they're important, they're powerful, but you got the Black Lives Matter. All these little taglines, and we're still not getting to the root of the matter, and that is the survival of the family. We can't get there. It's just so many distractions. And my question is, how are we going to turn those distractions off? How are we going to do that? Because there is agendas out there. There's some great agendas out there. But like you said, there's so many egos out there. But there's an agenda that we should be able to put in place right now. And then we can be a global impact, because we do make a lot of money. There's a lot of wealth here. And, the Africa, the diaspora is waiting on us to stand up. But we can't do it with all these problems and all this division. And I just see it, on a grassroots level, and it's just hard. And we're losing our students. Since you've been here, do you know we have almost all the schools in Fort Worth ISD is failing? I don't know. We didn't read back the book. We read your book. I had groups reading your book, but I don't know if we got to the back of the book so we can win. And so I guess with everything that's going on, how do we transcend all these distractions? Or do we have to go in and create a subculture that says we're beyond this? We have to be the group that moves forward for the Black people, for the race.
Absolutely. Doctor?
Here's the issue, and I agree totally with you. The average Black person thinks they have more to gain by staying separate from other Black people than they have by coming together. That's the bottom line. Most of us feel that there's more to gain by just looking out for myself than looking out for the group. And that, in and of itself, is one of the greatest victories for white supremacy. Whenever you can convince your victim that trying to come together to stop what I'm doing to you is impossible, then you just made the white man a god. And for many Black people, the white man is God. We think that his power and control over the Black reality is invincible. And that's why most Black people don't even try to become part of any progressive struggle. You hear it all the time. Why y'all trying to change? It's never going to change. When you say that, you're saying that white folks are so great that we can't do nothing about what they're doing. And when you say that, then you are actually conceding what they believe anyway, which is their racial superiority. But here's my thing, and I say this all the time. I believe we spend too much time on adults and trying to organize adults instead of focusing on the youth. Most of my effort is with the young people. I'm trying to work with the teenagers and those in their early 20s. That's who I'm working with. It's going to be very difficult to rehabilitate these psychologically disturbed Negroes. You're not going to get them. You have a third of Black people who are crazy in love with Jesus. You got a third of Black people who are crazy in love with money. You got another third of Black people who are crazy in love with simply hating on Black folk. The average Black person cannot be changed. They are how they're going to be until the day they die, and it ain't their fault. It's a function of community failure. It's a function of mass media conditioning. It's a function of religious indoctrination, and it's a function of poor values that were taught in their house. And that's another big problem we have. Most of our children are not raised on any values except believing in Jesus and Muhammad. Outside of religion, they are not in the home. In other words, being committed to your community. How many Black people raise their children with a serious value of being committed to your community, giving your life for your people, even if need be? We don't raise our kids like that. We raise our kids to be selfish as hell. Get your education and get your ass out the ghetto. That's what every Black parent tells their children. We're not raising them to love Black folk. We ain't raising them to identify with their group. We're raising them to be slaves to white supremacy.
You don't become a Condoleezza Rice. You don't become a Colin Powell. You don't become a Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, unless you was born in a house where caring about your people matter. You can't just grow up and turn your back on your people that easy. It was never taught in the home, which is why I say I don't go too far and criticize and sell out black, because the average Negro in the ghetto is a sellout black too. He just wasn't given an opportunity to sell out yet.
Wow. That's powerful. This is Real Raw Radio. We're having a real conversation tonight. We're talking about deep holes, in our society, in our community. And we have Dr. Umar on here. We have another hand up. We're going to take that caller. Thank you, last caller. We appreciate your input. Please continue to listen. Alicia, go ahead and take that caller.
714-868. You're live in the clubhouse. What's your name and where you from?
That's what it is. She probably asked you,
we got background.
You use your laptop. You don't need it.
Okay, we're going to put it back in the queue. They're not ready.
Yeah, put them on back. Go ahead. Put them back in the queue. Go ahead.
Well.
Okay. All right. Well, they're all
right along. Continue.
Well, I think that the main issue with black people is that they're more easier to stand next to something that's popular than stand next to things that's proper. Like, everything with black people is trending. We accept whatever's put before us. As a whole, I'm not saying all black people, just add us as the numbers.
Well, you got to remember something else.
Represent us.
You got to remember something else about black people in America. We're the only nation, because we are a nation within a nation. So I'm going to say nation. We're the only nation in the world who does not have an army, does not have an economic order or system, does not have its own educational system, and does not have its own community code of ethics, law, and order that has not yet been flat out exterminated. In most parts of the world, when you have an identifiable group that doesn't have a military, doesn't have an economic system, has no educational program to teach the kids how to build a military or an economic system, they normally get exterminated. You don't go this long just living day by day with no collective program of protection and uplift without sooner or later getting wiped out. And that's why the white man is preparing to wipe our asses out, because we're too stupid to recognize that continuing to live as we are in this condition 150 years after slavery, and we still don't have any infrastructure. What happens to nations around the world without any infrastructure? They get exterminated. And that's exactly what the government is planning to do to black folks if we don't get our act together.
See, when you start talking like that, black people don't want to hear you. They rather you talk about Santa Claus. See, when you start talking like
about Jesus. But you know why, though? That's because in church, what are you taught in church? In church, you are taught that Jesus is coming back to save you. So it's hard for black people to believe they have to save themselves when every Sunday of your life, you've been told that Jesus is coming back to save the faithful. And guess who keeps sending Jesus to you? The white man. Because as long as he can make you think that Jesus is coming when he know ain't nobody coming but him, you will never outgrow his oppression. Same thing with Muslims. All you got to do is believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pray 5 times a day. Do your Ramadan, make your Hajj, give your zakat, take your shahada, and Allah will take care of you. That's bullshit. Any religion that tells you that God is going to save you is a religion that's working for your enemy. And I'm not against any religion, but I recognize that black religion has served white people more than it has served black folk. The worst thing you can tell a self-hating group of people is you ain't got to do nothing for yourself. That's the worst thing you can tell black folk. And that's exactly what you get told every Friday for Juma and every Sunday for prayer. God is in control. God got this. The white man is running it right now, but God is going to take the world back. Did God take the world back during slavery? Did God take the world back during civil rights? Did God step in when the Germans was in Africa and they massacred an entire nation, the Herero people? Did God step in when the British assassinated the Tasmanians off of the coast of Australia? Did he step in then? So, are you crazy? Even when you read the Bible, the Bible even shows you that God don't come and save you. God helps you save yourself. You got to save yourself. But because religion has psychologically crippled us, remember now, whenever you invade a country, what are the 3 institutions you take over? I study military science. 3 institutions you take over whenever you invade a country. 1 is the military, 1 is the church, 1 is the school. That's the first thing you take over. You take over the school, mental slavery. You take over the church, spiritual slavery. You take over the military, physical slavery. And guess what? If I control the school and I control the church, I don't even need no damn army because the slaves are going to kill each other all for me.
Wow.
The black man's hope is always his chain of slavery. It's always going to be his chain of slavery, as long as he keep hoping.
Wow.
God don't work for you. God works through you. We are the fingers of God. The Creator needs us to put the work in. This whole concept of an external force that's going to come in and save black people is totally erroneous. It is an internal force. God is in the creation. God is within you. You must release your God force to affect your environment. But it's hard for us to understand that we have the God-given power because slavery beat it out of us.
Powerful. That's powerful. We've come to the end of our hour with Dr. Umar. I feel like we need a whole couch and another session with you. We pray
need
that
like 2
when
hours
the schedule
with you
slows
when you
down.
come back to the
We need the
States.
whole
No problem.
time.
If I could,
When you
let me
come
get
back
all the
to the
contact
States,
info,
we
ladies.
need
Yes, we
Could I
definitely
drop
do. If you're
you
coming
my
to the
contact
hours
info
when you come
really
back from the
quickly for
States.
family? Okay.
Yes,
If anybody
go ahead.
needs to reach me, Instagram and Twitter at Dr. Umar Johnson, website, drumarjohnson.com. Please make a donation.
Before you go,
Sure.
you talked about the GoFundMe account. Will you tell everybody the purpose and the meaning behind the school? Because you want them to know that what you're trying to create.
Yes, I appreciate that. Also, I want folks to know if they're interested in working at the school, please send your resumes to FDMG Resumes, F for Frederick, D for Douglas, M for Marcus, G for Garvey, FDMG Resumes with an S at gmail.com. Yes, we need teachers, but we also need security guards. We need secretaries. We need nurses. We need building engineers, custodial staff, bus drivers. There's something for everyone at the school once we get it. The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy will be America's first residential school for black boys based on entrepreneurship and Pan-Africanism. It'll be the first. We're going to teach agricultural and agronomical science. Our children will have to grow their own food. We will also teach political and military science. Our children will be taught how to defend African life, both with weapons and without weapons. They will also be taught how white supremacy is controlling black people through religion, through military. They will be taught why was AIDS created? Why are so many black men going to jail? Why are so many black women raising kids by themselves? Why is Africa the richest continent in the world, but yet they have the poorest people? That's political science, understanding the world you live in. We will also teach dietary and nutritional science so children understand how to heal the human body, how to eat to live, how to protect the human body. We will also teach financial and economic science. By the time your child finishes the 9th grade, they will have a business plan. By the time they finish the 10th grade, they will know how to do their own taxes. By the time they finish the 11th grade, they will know how to invest in Wall Street. By the time they finish the 12th grade, they will have mastered the real estate market and how to get paid off of properties. We are teaching our children how to be economically self-sufficient without college. If you want to go to college, we will help them. They will all be well prepared. They will be some of the smartest kids in the country and most educated children, so they will be able to get accepted into any college if that's what they want. But if they don't want to go to college, they shouldn't have to, and they should be able to make a decent living without college. We have to keep two things in mind. Top 1% richest people in the world never went to college. Top 1% people in the world never went to college. And top 1% richest people in America do not go to work to earn their money.
Powerful. Powerful. Thank you so much, Dr. Umar. We look forward to your journey. We thank you for taking the time to come and sit with us and chat with us and share this enlightening information. What is the name of your book, and where can they get it at? I heard them mention a book.
Yes, Psychoacademic Holocaust, the Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys. I haven't been able to keep it in stock. It is one of the most requested books, I believe, in our neighborhood. The only book that teaches black parents how to fight back against special ed and ADHD. I had to take it off of my website, and the reason I had to take it off of my website was I was getting so many requests for orders that I wasn't able to fill them quick enough, and I couldn't keep the book in stock. So I took it off because I got tired of black folks complaining that they didn't get their book within 2 days like I'm Amazon or something. So what I do now, if anybody wants to order the book in bulk, you can order it in bulk. Otherwise, you will have to come to one of my lectures. So if you have a book club, if you have a school, if you have a bookstore, even if you don't, if you want to order at least 15 copies of the book, you will get it at a wholesale rate of $10 a copy, plus the shipping, and I'll ship it directly to you. So any order of 15 copies or more, you will get it at $10. It sells $20 for retail, but you will get it at $10 plus the shipping. So let's say you got 10 mothers. If those 10 mothers come together and say they want Dr. Umar's book, they will get it at the wholesale rate. All you have to do is send me an email through the website, Dr. Umar, I want to order 15 copies or 30 copies, or 50 copies, whatever you want, and I'll ship them out that way. So if anybody got a bookstore that wants to carry the book, just send me an email, and we could get the books out to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Umar. We appreciate you. We wish you safe travels as you continue to spread the word throughout the country and, letting us know what's going on in the black communities. And we thank you so, so much. And this is your home, so anytime you want to come on, it's definitely open to you. Just let us